Good evening, world. Welcome to Jews Word Podcast. Welcome Facebook Live. Welcome TikTok Live. We're going to talk about tonight when fear and shame becomes a choice. So, how fear and shame becomes a choice. What if it's keeping us from being physically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally free? I'm going to elaborate some more. Tonight, I want to talk about something uncomfortable. Something that all of us going to really look at the mirror and be like, dang, have I been doing this the whole time? What are some things that we say we're waiting on, we're actually afraid of? What if the goal isn't impossible? What if nothing is really blocking us? What if God has already given you everything you need and He hasn't withheld anything from you? Will you feel that way? What if we started choosing fear from the beginning? All of our decisions through our life, every bad situation we've been through, the way our life turned out. We all have to take accountability for our own life and be like, hey, I'm the reason why things transpired in my life the way it did. Like, we have to really look in the mirror when you're trying to grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, and like secure peace in your life. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, you examining the decisions you made, the positions you put yourself in, the situation you had to work yourself out of, and you really question yourself like, hey, was I choosing fear the whole time? I know a lot of y'all like, Drew, who choosing fear? Who choosing fear? I mean, we probably chose fear, honestly, but it's not conscious. It's not conscious. Because every time when you need to do something and you know you're gonna do it, how many times do we think about it over and over and over again? We get anxious to get it done. We get anxious to get it done. We get antsy. We move around. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's that fear. That's that anxiousness. We don't supposed to be anxious. We're supposed to be like, okay, I'm gonna get it done. We got to be cool. We got to be smooth. We have to flow like water. Every time I pass, tell us about the things they try to tell us and dictate who we're supposed to be. Every time our past shows this ugly face and comes back and be like, have a reminder of what you've been through or the things you're involved in, you'd be like, dang. But you have to think about it and look at it like that. That's your past trying to tell you, that's fear trying to tell you who you can and who you can't be. And we can't allow that to happen. We have to keep on moving. We have to keep on progressing and flowing like water. And it's shame also. It's fear and shame when we make our decisions. When we kind of downplay ourselves because of what people may think that we done been through and stuff like that. That's shame. That's fear and shame. We've all experienced it, but we all have to take accountability to be like, okay, I understand where in my life where I apply fear and shame, where they held me back. Because I was thinking about the analogy of Moses when he went to go talk to God on the mountain. And when God told him to speak to the rock. And he hit the rock with the stick, right? So what made him hit the rock with the stick? You're on holy ground. God told him to take off his shoes. You're on holy ground, right? So when you're on holy ground, you know, you have rules and regulations and guidelines you have to abide by when you're in the presence of God. So instead of him speaking to the rock, he hit the rock. The fact that he was probably frustrated from everybody heckling him, from the followers, and nobody wanted to follow him, to believe him, all the complaining that he was dealing with. And that probably, then he had a speech problem. So you think about that. How many times have we had things from our past that always affected us? The things that we judge ourselves for, the things that we fell for, and the things that we fell short of, and it affects us spiritually, mentally, emotionally to make the correct decision to move forward fearlessly to reach our full potential. How many times have we done that? I can be honest with myself, raise my hand several times and said, I've done that. And then you don't look at it like that till you get to a place of healing and you understand and you reflect your life and you be like, dang, I really was moving out of fear in some of those situations. I was way better than the situations. I was way better than those decisions. Because when you don't understand your morals and your values, you don't understand your worth, you don't understand your value of yourself, you're not going to make the best decisions. You're going to make decisions you're going to make will be based on how you feel about yourself. That's why I made a post a couple of days ago and I said, when you look at your life in its totality, you can tell how you feel about yourself by your life. You can. By the decisions you make, the things that you're going through, all of those things. We all have to take accountability for our actions and the things we put ourselves in, the positions we put ourselves in. It's very important that we take accountability for that. Feeling fear, I want to clear this up too. Feeling fear isn't the same as choosing fear. I'm not telling anybody on the spiritual journey that you're not going to feel afraid. You're going to feel afraid. You're always growing. You're always learning new things. You're always facing yourself. You're facing your darkness on your spiritual journey. That's what the spiritual journey is. You're facing your ego. You're removing your ego from your repertoire, and you have to live with your darkness because it's a balance. Light and darkness is a balance. God made your lightness and your darkness together and said you're good. So that doesn't mean that, oh, you know how we learn in the religion that, hey, you have to kill, well, I can't say that, excuse me, yeah, you can't say that, but remove your flesh. I mean, it's your flesh for a reason, but you have to be disciplined, you have to be consistent, you have to move with intention. You have to understand that everything you hear, you have to be careful. Like they say, hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. So you have to watch what you look at, you have to watch what you hear, you have to watch what you speak, because you speak life not only just by your mouth, but how you carry yourself, your energy, how you speak to people, how you greet people, the way you feel about yourself. That is, to me, that is the biggest. And somebody can challenge if you want to. I'm always up for a debate. I think that is the biggest sin that we can ever commit is not being true to who God made us to be. You're not being yourself. You just following in line. You're high minded. You're just going with the trends. You're chasing trends. I feel like that's the biggest sin we can do is not be true to ourselves and be who God made us to be. He made us all uniquely, individually, but we all have a special talent and a special purpose in this life. And I feel like it's our goal to find that. I feel like that's our goal to find that. Because I can't start because I might fail. I can't I can't love completely because I might get hurt again. I can't leave because I might regret it. Those thoughts right there, those are the things that you can't think. You have to jump in head first. Because courage doesn't require absence of fear. No, fear is going to be there. You just have to require the movement despite the fear. You have to have courage to move. You have to be courage to have that dog in you that you want to achieve more than what your fears is holding you back from. And I think that's the willpower of a person. That's to understand like, hey, this is what my life looks like, but this is not how my life is going to end. I think that's what we all have to really look at ourselves sometimes. Like you have to have that Martin on Bad Boys moment when he's looking up like that and the camera go up. Like you got to raise your head. Like okay, it's game time. Like for real though, on everything. Like you gotta feel that way about yourself. You gotta be able to fight even when you feel like you have nothing to fight for. You still have to fight. And that's where it comes to you understanding that hey, this was what my life was, but this is not how it's going to be. I want better for myself. I want better for my family. I want better for my kids. And that's where accountability comes in. Really understanding that a lot of things we put ourselves is because it's how we felt about ourselves, the fear we felt about ourselves, our fear of being better, bigger than what we feel or what people have told us, and the shame of the things that we've done, even though we didn't understand the ramifications. But even if we did, it's the decision you made. You're grown. So, with that being said, we still have to take accountability for those things. The problem starts when fear becomes the lens through which you see everything. Like I say, like I've been saying before, like you looking at the cup half empty instead of half full. When you look at everything saying like I was reading those statements that I had jotted down, I can't start because I might fail. I can't love completely because I may get hurt again. I can't leave because I might regret it. I can't speak because people might judge me. I can't try because I might embarrass myself. Like those negative phrases right there that pop in your head, like those are fear based. Anything goes against any type of feeling that you feel when you want to do something, but you be like, man, I don't, that ain't never feel right to do it. Even if you don't feel like it's the best, maybe if you judging yourself, upload it anyway. If you make content, if you make content and you might feel like, man, I don't know about this video, upload it anyway. Don't let fear and shame stop you because even when I started my podcast, I didn't care what y'all thought. I I didn't care what y'all thought, man. Listen, I have to do this because this is what I want to do. I didn't let fear and shame stop me from jumping on this mic and doing something that was God gifted me and to speak life into people. That's I'm not gonna not do that. I'm not. No. I'm gonna still speak. I'm gonna still do and achieve the things that I have to do. We should all take forth the effort and put our best foot forward to achieve the things, no matter how you feel about it. Do it. The most scariest thing, the most biggest thing that scares you that you can't accomplish, those things like that, those on the other side of that fear, that is the most beautiful feeling ever. Overcoming fears, improving yourself, elevation, ascending, like those things right there, those goes through the most fierce part of your life. Fear is going to be a part of it. Shame is going to be around, but you have to understand, hey, what do I want to accomplish? The bad decisions I made in my life, does that define who I am as a person? Everybody has room to grow. Everybody's done things they're not proud of. Everybody has been in places they know they shouldn't have been. People have secrets that they're taking to the grave to the day. But you have to accept that about yourself and be like, you know what? I came, I saw, I conquered, and move on from it. Don't let anything hold you back from accomplishing and growing into your full self. That's basically what I'm saying, guys. Shame says that your past identity is who you are. And then the questions pop up in your head is like, what if it happens? It happened because something was wrong with you. Those are the negative thoughts you're going to have, but you have to look at it like everything happens for you, not to you. When things happen to you, and like I say, it happens for you. So a lot of things that you've grown into the person that you are today, the beautiful person, everybody goes through that rough state when you're transforming. Like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. That process is is hectic, it's stressful, it's hard. Because you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're addressing the negative things that you feel about yourself and understanding you have to love your darkness. If you don't love your darkness, then what are we doing? Because we have to love ourselves fully. There's no way we can say we love God. There's no way we can say that, hey, I trust God if we don't love ourselves fully and trust ourselves in the decisions that we make. You have to understand that, okay, this is my weakness. Okay, this is my strength. So let me pour into my weaknesses to make it just as strong as my strength. It's definitely a hard process. I had to go through it, and it's been a hard process, but it's been a beautiful process because you're able to sit with yourself and understand the things that you need to improve within yourself, and you're like, okay, these things are going to make me a better father. This is going to make me a better boyfriend, or make me a better son to my mom. You know what I'm saying? Like it affects every part of your life when you address yourself inward, and the answers is inward. It's not outward. And I know we've all been through things and that fear builds up and you still have those small thoughts in the back of your head like, man, but sooner or later, have we got to push those thoughts aside. We got to accept that for what it was. It was just a season of our life. So we can move forward and we can keep on progressing and growing. You can't condemn your identity. And I thought about it. It hit me when I was thinking about this topic. You can't condemn your identity. When you let fear and shame dictate your life and you let fear and shame choose your piece where you want to explore. Like some people be like when you flying across country for the first time, you've never been. So the first thing you think about is what? Oh, I heard they got pickpocketers out there. I heard they got this out there. I heard that it's totally different. Be careful out there. Be careful. That's cool, but don't let that fear and what you've heard about it stop you from exploring and experiencing life. Go and experience it for yourself because you can't believe everything that you hear, but you have to go and experience life yourself. So your parents can talk to you till you blue in the face about, hey, don't do this, hey, don't do that. But it's not going to resonate for real, until you experience it yourself. Because you can tell somebody, get somebody the best advice and they don't take it. But at the same time, you have to let people experience it for themselves. When we let fear and we let shame, we let being in a bad relationship, getting divorced, uh, having baby mama drama. Like when we allow that stuff and it don't let you want to move on and be with nobody else and it stops you from accomplishing things that you really want, You just had bad experiences in it. That's letting fear and shame dictate your life. And we all have to really look at ourselves and be like, man, how many times have we really let fear and shame dictate our life? The situations we put ourselves in, the situations that we don't even want to talk about. We don't even want to revisit those thoughts. Experience is the best teacher, right, Trey? Right. Experience is the best teacher. I always felt like experience was the father of learning. I always felt like that because when you have to experience life as a young man in life, a lot of things your parents can't tell you. A lot of things you got to get out there and jump off the front porch and then find out for yourself. And then you understand now as you get older and the decision that you made is like, okay, I wasn't operating out of wisdom with that. I was operating out of fear and shame and just survival mode. And then you realize your decisions, and that's how you come to understanding yourself and be like, okay, yeah, I was wild. I was doing too much. But you know what, though? It was fun while it lasted, but I'm on to something else. I've grown from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to really evaluate our life and self-evaluate ourselves like that. Self-evaluation, you got to take accountability because truth be told, man, everything that happens in our life we cause to us. Because like I said, we learn that we can pray for things to happen. We can speak things into existence. We can speak life into somebody. So you don't think we can speak negative on ourselves and bring it to ourselves with our thoughts and our actions and our energy? Man, listen, I'm telling you, man, listen. When I really figured that out, man, I try to speak less as possible. Like I said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say that to nobody because karma come back around fast nowadays, man. Listen, I'm telling you, you gotta really be careful with your energy, man, especially around now. You all see what's going on. You see it's a spiritual warfare going on, man. You gotta protect your energy at all times. And protecting your energy is making sure that you get up every day. You set the tone for your mood for your day. That's what I do. I master my mornings. I get up, meditate, work out, you know what I'm saying, get some coffee, take a shower, meditate in the shower. Man, listen, what makes you comfortable, you might not have, you might want to go for a morning jog. You might want to go, you might draw in the mornings, or you might like to hum in the shower in the morning. Whatever you do that keeps you peaceful. And it keeps you in your peaceful moment where you talk to God. Wherever your sacred place where you talk to God at, do that. And you basically getting up in the morning, setting the tone for your mood to be like, hey, my day is going to be good. My job is not going to dictate it. This traffic, this 5 o'clock traffic in Birmingham, these folks can't drive. Not going to dictate it. My baby mama's not going to dictate it. My baby dad is not going to dictate it. My boss ain't going to dictate it. Like whoever, any type of negative energy in your life, you can't let that dictate it. You got to make the best out of everything. Look at the cup half full or half empty. Everything happens for you, not to you. I look back over my life and the things I've been through, and I look at it, even with losing my dad, losing my auntie and my grandmother, like it made me appreciate life even more. And I understand and I thank God for the wisdom I gained from those experiences. But all those things I've been through, I wouldn't have been the man I am today if I hadn't experienced it. From everything, from A to Z, from a little boy all the way up to now. The things you go through, everything we go through is character building exercises. Yes, we operate out of fear. When you awaken to a lot of things in life and you realize some things ain't worth it like you thought it was, you realize that everything that you operate out of was fear and shame. You either shrink your self-betrayal. I mean, even situations where you put yourself in you weren't even supposed to be in. And you think about it, you be like, dang, I understood why I thought like that then. I understood why I was in that position and now I know better. Like we always used to say, what the old people used to say, if I knew now what I knew, if I knew then what I know now, man, life would be a lot different. And that's basically what we having a conversation about, fear and shame. We have to understand that we operate out of fear and shame throughout life. Everything happened to us is our fault. And that's a hard pill to swallow. It is. But it's all about growth. Like I said, the butterfly goes through an excruciating process before it becomes a butterfly. It's a caterpillar. The caterpillar goes through an excruciating process through the metamorphosis and the transformation. And we're the same way. You got to go through that shed stage. Like the snake shed its skin, you got to go through your skin shedding stage. It's peeling back layers. peeling back layers of the things that we adopted, the things that we were taught, and everything that we were told, or this is how you're supposed to be, or this is how far you can go, or this is how you're viewed in the world, or this is your classification. All of those things that in society that keeps you grounded and keeps you feeling like you're just a number, not really a person, like you really don't matter. And you think about those things that have been set up in our life when you come from the struggle, you come from, humble beginnings. But you can't let that affect you. You can't let that dictate you how you gonna put your best foot forward and move in life. We all come from different walks of life. Some people come from situations better than others, but you still can't let fear and shame of your dark past dictate to you where you're gonna move forward and how you're gonna end up in life. Just because you started, don't mean you gotta finish there. You can always change your mind. Like how often do we collapse our past into our present? I've been talking about that with Meech about collapsing your past into your present, letting the past go. Not even talking about your past. Understand what you need to learn from it and keep on going. Yeah, hombre, what up, bro? Rushing that process makes it hard too. You gotta let it happen and embrace the change. Facts. Facts. You gotta be patient in that process, right? Like my brother said, you gotta be patient in that process. Because through that process, like I said, you have to really flow like water. Like I've been saying, be like water. Like Bruce Lee said, you have to be formless. You have to understand that life is experiences. You can't get attached to it. You can't put your stake in the sand. You can't absorb it. You gotta observe it. In some situations where we got too emotionally attached to the experience, where it's just supposed to be an experience. And also we move out of fear because we scared to lose that moment. You see what I'm saying? And then how it ends, if it ends bad, we feel shameful of how it ended, and you realize, dang, I wasn't even being myself. I was like lost. I was crazy in that situation. But then you realize that, then you be like, dang, then you let that hunt you. You let that judge your next decision of, dang, I don't even want to get in a relationship anymore because I've been hurt. Dang, I'm scared to get behind the wheel of the car because I had a bad accident. Dang, she rich. I ain't come from a rich environment, so I ain't gonna talk to her because I feel like she out my league because she grew up. You see what I'm saying? You let fear and shame stop you from making certain decisions in life. Like I referenced Moses when God told him to speak to the rock, he hit the rock. He had the fear and the shame of his speech impediment he had, the things he went through. He was sold into slavery by his own siblings. He had so many things that he had on him. But when the presence of God and His holy, you have to stay focused. But we could all say what we would do in that situation, but you don't know how it feels when you're in that situation, or do we? Because we do that every day. We'll have a set spot where God allows us to get out of every situation. And what we do, we allow the familiarity and the comfortability of a situation to keep us in it when God gave us the key to get out. That's operating out of fear and shame too. Self-betrayal. I feel like that's the biggest sin that we could ever commit against ourselves is self-betrayal. Not being who God told you to be. That's like calling God a lie. If we don't love ourselves, we can't love God. If we don't trust ourselves, we can't trust God. Can't let your past ruin your future. Can't put on new shoes wearing those socks. Yeah, that's my brother phrase right there. That's my brother phrase right there. You can't put on new shoes wearing old, dusty, dirty socks. You can't. You got to deal with your inner man, your inner woman. You got to look at yourself in the mirror. You got to become whole. Like I said, God created us as one. Our lightness and our darkness said we're good. God know your darkness. You can't hide it from God. God know your darkness, your existence. Everybody has a higher conscience and a lower conscience. But the thing is, you have to accept your lower conscience for what it is. Understand that your lower conscience helped you get through surviving a lot of bad situations where you needed that fire and that fighter in you. When you get to your higher conscience, then you understand what peace is like. You understand the decisions that you did make that could have been really, really detrimental to your life and the ones around you. And you look at it like, man, hey, no, I said we have to take accountability for our life and the actions that we've done and the things that we involved ourselves in. Even when it comes to relationships, because love is an all time strain right now in the world. Love is an all time strain. The men versus women conversations, like they don't need to just be over with and done. We need each other. We can't do it without each other. We all need to take accountability in our flaws and address ourselves and come together open heartedly, unjudgmental, and unconditionally. And that's my little 2 cents in that. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. You can't feel like every attempt feels pointless. You can't let your visibility be strained. Whether you're struggling financially, where you can't communicate correctly, or you're dealing with relationship problems, or it's a strain at your job where they're holding you back from getting a promotion. We've all been through those things. But even through those hard times, you have to understand that we have to have something grounded to keep us through all of this stuff. Because we can't take it with us. The money, the cars, the clothes, the memories, the videos of the turn ups. We can't take it with us. But you got to have something spiritually grounded that you can hold on to. You have to tap into your higher self. You really have to address yourself. You have to, if you want better, you got to do better. Like I said, when you know better, you do better. As I said, you don't have to change your life. You don't have to change your life. You have to change your lens. Change your lens. You have to look at life in a different thing. Look at life as blessings and opportunities. You have to understand who you are. That's the hardest part about everything is facing ourselves. As human beings, we don't like to face ourselves. That's one thing we don't like. We don't like change. We don't like change, and we don't like anything that we can't control. That's just throughout humanity. But it's okay though. We all have to understand that we can't control the traffic. All we can do is stay in our own lane. But no matter what you were told, no matter what anybody instilled in you, you have to make sure you stay strong mentally. Because fear can really affect you mentally. We put ourselves in boxes mentally, in imaginary prisons, the things that we can't accomplish. Like, that's why we can go and experience life, but we can't live in the moment. When you take trips and you can't live in the moment, that's because you're physically free, but you mentally incarcerated. And you think about how many moments have we missed out in life because we stressed out about somebody, a bad relationship, or things in life we can control, and we've missed out on the most pure, intricate part of life, and that's living in the moment, living in the now. We let fear and shame keep us from living in the now. We so worried about everybody else, what they got going on, that we can't even focus on ourselves, man. I went down a long rabbit hole about this, man. Listen, like, nobody is stopping you. Nobody's stopping you from starting anything. Nobody's stopping you from learning anything. Nobody's stopping you from changing anything. Only thing standing in your way is you. But we have to get out of our own way. Because when we think about doing something, you always have that little voice in the back of your head saying, "We're not ready. You don't have enough. Somebody else may be better. Wait until everything is perfect timing. I can't do this right now. I'm going to wait. I can't do this right now. I don't want to do that because it ain't going to look right." Shame and fear. It puts us in a mental barrier. It puts us in a really, really, really bad mental barrier where we can't accomplish anything. Because perfection comes with procrastination. Perfection ain't nothing but procrastination. That's all it is. That's just like I said, that's a dirty sock with some clean shoes on, bro. A dirty sock with some clean shoes on. Procrastination is just dressed up as perfection. That's what that is. Because think about it, nothing is perfect. Everything has flaws. Everybody has flaws. Nobody's perfect. If you walk into any situation think anything is gonna be perfect, you're really gonna be disappointed. You set yourself up for failure because you're expecting too much. When in reality you'll see things as they should be and not as they really are. And we've all been there. Hey, I raised my hand. I done been there too. So what? I know I done been there. I done been there a few times. So what you say, we're not ready. That's crazy how we think about ourselves like that. We have moments like that. Man, that's really, really heavy there, though. That's really heavy. But we have to understand sometimes you don't need another sign. You don't need another book to read. You don't need to listen to another podcast. You might not need another another motivational video. You may need to just honestly just get up and just move. Stop thinking. Get up and move. Facts, bro. Definitely need your lower self. Yeah. That motherfucker can pull you through some rough place. Right. It does. Yeah. Your lower conscience and your darkness shared a purpose. It was a purpose. That's your fire. That's your fire. I can't sit there and say my darkness don't serve me no purpose. Yeah, I need my fire throughout my life. Yeah. You gotta be whole. You gotta accept yourself as a whole, man. You gotta accept the ugliness about yourself too. Hey. But you have to be disciplined enough to know that you have to let the ugliness of yourself be like, hey, just chill out. I'm gonna take this one this time. I'm making this decision this time. I ain't making that decision no more. Yeah. Like you learn, you live and you learn. That's why I said life is a bunch of experiences. And we have to understand that we get attached to experiences. Life is supposed to flow like water. When water gets still, water gets stale. Listen, that's when disease comes, right? Because disease is being water that's sitting. So disease being your life when you sit still. So you supposed to just let it flow. You gotta let it flow. You gotta flow. You supposed to observe, don't absorb. So when you in situations, we observe it. You in a relationship, you get married, okay. But when you stay too long, that's when you start absorbing it. When you stay too long, that's when you start absorbing it. So experience life. Go through a bad relationship. We've all been through them. If things don't go the way you expected it to go, okay, accept it for what it is. Understand your lesson behind it and keep going. That's why you have to look at life as the cup half full instead of half empty. Because if you look at everything as a negative light, like I said, you speaking into your life. When you thinking negative about it, it's going to show up in your life as negativity. That's why I said when you speak life, it's not just about you speaking, it's how you think, how you carry yourself. There's a thought in the back of your head that's negative. That affects your life. That's why I say everything in our life we call to us is our fault. You definitely got to know when to tell your lower self to sit with this one out. I got it. Right. You got to. That's just being real, man. Listen. Hey, you got to know when to tell yourself, hey, bro, chill out. Mm-mm. Sometimes you got to know to tell yourself that. You have to. That's where that mental and spiritual and emotional awareness comes in. And that's the same thing, just like mental and spiritual and emotional intelligence. You still have to have intelligence in the midst of also understanding. Like you have to understand. Don't nobody know you better than you. Can't nobody tell you nothing about yourself. You should be able to tell yourself to other people. Just don't let nobody tell you more about yourself than you know about yourself. That's why it's so important that you do that inner work. Because there's no way that a lot of people have their identity in somebody else's hand. There's no way that I can allow somebody to have my identity, or my identity is attached to somebody else's theory, somebody else's decisions in life. It's no freaking way. What if you just say, ain't no way? Ain't no fucking way. Man, listen. I've always been a loner. Listen, you got to think for yourself. Really say you can't think for yourself, got to think for the team. That's what Future said. My boy be on it. My boy be on it. I'm telling you. But yeah, nobody's stopping you from starting anything. Nobody's stopping you from learning. Nobody's stopping you from changing your life around. Nobody's stopping you from thinking differently. We have to make that decision. Sometimes you don't need another sign. Sometimes you don't need another book. You just need to move. Eventually, knowledge without application becomes another hiding place. Knowledge without application, it's just something that you can just put in front of you as a mask. You have to be able to just not just get information, but apply it to your life. There's no point of us looking at 50 videos, reading 50 books, uh, doing 50 challenges if we're not even going to look at ourselves in the mirror, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and say, hey, man, you messed up. We need to sit down and have a talk. Everybody thought T.I. was crazy when he made that album T.I. versus T.I.P. That's his high conscious versus lower conscious. I understood it. I'm a Gemini. I understand that anyway. You know what I'm saying? We do a brain. We do a mind. We twins over here. We twinning over here. But yeah, like that's basically what that is. That's a good analogy of that. Ti versus Tip. That's how you have to be. Either you gonna stay on the wrong path or you gonna get on the right path and tell her, hey man, sit this one out, get in the back seat, partner. You know? Sometimes you gotta do that. And then we have We let our spiritual fear get in the way. And this is a heavy spot right here. But I don't care. We gonna go through it. Let's go, baby. Spiritual fear can be sneaky. Because sometimes we're asking Yahweh for confirmation when what we're asking for is actually certainty. Sometimes we don't even pray about the situation. You just praying that your nerves be calm, that he's going to reassure you that it's going to happen. That's what it's all about. That's what a lot of times when you pray for something more than one time, you constantly keep praying for it, you basically begging God. You got to pray one time, give it to God, and keep on moving. You got to move like it's already done. You can't walk in uncertainty. When Yeshua was healing people. Even when the lame man walked, even from the man who was blind that he couldn't see. One thing he asked him, will your faith make you whole? If you don't believe it, you cannot achieve it. If you don't believe it, you can't achieve it. You have to believe it. You got to understand. You have to know it. You have to move like you're already there. Like, and I had to learn a lesson in life because you will see in the future, when I get to my future me, when I do this, when I do that, no, it's the now. If you don't have that mindset that you're that person now, you'll never be that person. You have to understand that everything that you need, God has already put in you from the time of your creation. The man can count the hair on your head, baby. He can count the hair on your head. So that means we have to understand that whatever he put in us is already in us. But you have to understand who you are and love yourself and understand your worth and your value. This is what we have to do. And when we understand our worth and our value, that's when you will see things really change for you. Because think about it, you're moving out of fear and shame, and you don't know. So are you doing? You just adapting ideologies and things that you know what I'm saying, accessorize. That's what you're doing through life. You accessorizing your soul. That's what we're doing. We accessorizing our soul through life. That's what we're doing. We accessorizing our soul because God never told you you was gonna do this. He never told you to do that. So that's when you get on your spiritual journey and decide to, hey, I want to really change my life around. You gotta strip some stuff down. You can't take that stuff with you. That's why he removed your friends. That's why he moved some family members. That's why he moved. He might even move you from a job. He might move you from a whole nother city. You may be literally by yourself spiritually. Because at the end of the day, when your family lay down, when your friends lay down, when the gang lays down, you got to deal with yourself spiritually and understand, hey, am I moving how I need to move to better myself? Because your kids deserve to see a healed parent. Your significant others deserve to have a healed person. Your job deserves to have an employee of the month. No matter where you work at, whether it's McDonald's or you work at the Mayfield factory or you work at Honda or you work at Mercedes. Your spiritual life is going to keep you grounded through everything in life, no matter what you face. You'll be all right. You already know what time it is. You in beast mode. You know what I'm saying? You're in beast mode. So facing yourself, becoming spiritual grounded really helps you through every area of your life. It's not just, oh, this is going to help me through this section. No, it covers every area because when you're at peace, you walk different. You breathe different. You look at yourself in the mirror different. You like, okay, you're not worried about anybody else. You worried about yourself. You're in your own lane. You focused. You got them blinders on because everything is a distraction nowadays. If y'all don't know, I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all now. Everything is a distraction, man. Everything is a distraction. We all have to take time from the loud noise outside and really take a look at ourselves and understand, like, if I'm out here popping my stuff and I'm saying I'm this person, am I really that person internally? Does my soul match my physical persona? We all have to ask ourselves that. Do I inner match our outer? Because there's no point of being physically successfully, but you in poverty spiritually. There's no point of doing that. It's not. Because if you don't have anything grounded spiritually, you'll never enjoy anything in life. It says, seek ye the kingdom of God. We shall do greater things. And you look at that, you sit with that and you marinate with that. And you really realize that He gave us the promise. He made the promise. We just not upholding our bargain, our end of the bargain. As humans, we fail to do what we're supposed to do. A tree don't have a problem being a tree. A bird don't have a problem being a bird. Water don't have a problem reaching its purpose being water. But as humans, we don't fulfill our end of the bargain because we let a lot of things distract us. And that's including myself, y'all. Hey, listen, I'm talking to myself. I ain't just talking to you, I'm talking to myself too. Listen, this is just my thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Hey, this is real accountability. Like, I don't feel no way about it. But that's just real accountability. Like when you think about it like that, man, they get you really thinking. I'm quick to go down a rabbit hole, y'all. Don't get me started. I go down a rabbit hole in a heartbeat, always. Faith doesn't mean, and I know we all lean on faith, and it's a beautiful thing. But faith doesn't mean pretending you know exactly what's going to happen. Faith is I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm willing to walk with God no matter what I got to go through to get there. Like I know I've been through something, I've been through worse than this before. I know God and kept me through all of this, so hey, I'm gonna continue to walk. I'm gonna keep on pushing no matter what I feel like. My head might fall. I'm gonna pick it back up and I'm gonna keep on going. You know what I'm saying? That's typically the how we view or how I view walking with God. Because you could pray for the door, but you be terrified when it opens. You can pray for this life. We pray for the things that we want, the dreams, and we in align with it, and we agree with it, the thought of it. But when it get there, man, we be so scared to walk through that door. Ooh, we be scared. We pray for the door, we scared to walk through it because we let the fear and shame hold us back. The comfortability. I've known situations where a lot of people they don't accomplish what they're trying to accomplish because of their circle. And that is a true thing. The people around you will hinder you from receiving your blessings that God has for you. You have to really be careful with your energy. You have to protect your energy. You have to understand whether it's being friends, family, children, co-workers, parents, whoever. Anybody can be a suspect to keep you from your blessings depends on their energy. And that's something we have to realize that. We have to really be careful who we allow in our circles. A lot of people be energy vampires and they be trying to cipher your energy. What they call them destiny swappers. Man, listen, be careful, be intentional, be consistent about your word and how you move and your things that you say, the way you carry yourself. It's very important in these times. This is the age of information. So we have to honestly be careful the information we taking in. We have to be careful the energy we giving out. We have to be careful what we listen to. Hey, question everything. Question everything. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Question everything. You have to really be careful. It's a lot of indoctrination out there. There's a lot of it. When we let fear and shame stop us, that's like I said, that's like when Moses was on the mountain talking to God. Even the people he was leading out of Egypt, they'd have been free from slavery. They'd been free from slavery. And a 3-day walk, 3-day walk, turned into 40 years from fear and shame and not want to look at themselves at, man, listen. And that's even relevant till today. That's so relevant today. Because as humans, we really stop ourselves. Nothing stops us but our mentality, our mindset. At the end of the day, everything that happened in our life, like I said before, everything that happens in our life is our fault. Once we accept that, it'll be no more victimhood. Once we accept that, it'll be no more victimhood. Nobody can play victim. Yes, we've all been through things that hasn't necessarily been our fault, that you're not upholding your end of the bargain. But we have to take accountability for the part that we played. So it's our fault for the part that we played. We allowed ourselves to get in that situation. I want to clarify that. When we're growing, you have to release what you're familiar to because we can't grow in comfortable spaces. We cannot grow in comfortable spaces. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to be uncomfortable. We pray for patience. If that's a part of your elevation, you pray for patience. You're going to go through things that requires your patience. You pray for courage. You're going to go through things that requires your courage. You pray for financial blessings. You're going to go through things to see if you can budget yourself to where he can be able to bless you with that financial blessing. It's all about your frequency or what your mindset is. Like I said, when you look at the cup half full instead of half empty, you give him possibilities and ratios a chance to arise in your life when you know, hey, it's going to be positive no matter what it is. Was what they said. Shoot for the moon, even if you miss your last amongst the stars. So that's how you have to look at life. Yeah, this may be your goal, but sometimes we don't reach our goal because that's your goal. That's not what God gave you to be your goal. So a lot of times he'll redirect you to what he has is better, and it's really protection. You think that's what you want. No, that's not what you want. This is what you need. But it's always a good thing. Though. It's always. Because I've experienced things in my life, and even with my career choice, man, listen, it didn't go where I wanted to go, but hey, I'm thankful where I am. Listen, I thank God for everything. We have to be grateful. We have to be appreciative of everything in life. Because if you don't, how can you expect to grow and expect to ascend if you can't be grateful for what you have? You have to be thankful in your apartment before you get your house. If you ain't grateful for that apartment, you're not going to get a house because you're not grateful. You don't appreciate it. You have to be grateful on that bike before you got a car. You have to be grateful before when you started off at $10 an hour. Now you making maybe $25 an hour. Like you have to be grateful for your job. You know, we have to show gratitude and appreciation for everything in life. We have to. Because if you don't appreciate anything, if you can't appreciate the small things, how can you appreciate the big things? Because the small things that really build your character, that's your foundation. That's your foundation of your house. That's going to teach you all the core values and the morals and principles of working in life and understanding how you grow in life, the things you can and can't do, the things you should and shouldn't do. So if you don't understand those things, then it's going to affect you along the way. But the only way you can address those things is not operate out of fear and shame and understand that, hey, I can't fail. When you understand that you can't fail, you understand that no matter what you do, the energy you speak forth, how you interact with life, how you speak about yourself, how you feel about yourself is going to go. Because once you change your mindset, anything you project in your life is going to be peace and love. If that's what you're on, that's what your mindset is, and expansion and growth, that's what you're going to show in your life. That's why I said how you feel about yourself is going to project in your life. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. It was hard for me to swallow and understand that. Definitely is. Then we have the emotional fear. The emotional fear. Emotional fear can make you protect yourself and aggressively, like in an aggressive way that can't nothing reach you. Like I've been through a bad heartbreak. I've been through a bad marriage, and you protecting yourself so tight, and you're not healing yourself, and you got yourself so covered up and building walls up that you can't even allow a blessing that God may send you somebody, or you may interact with somebody that God has for you. And that's just not with relationships. That's with even jobs. You think everything is a scam, or you think, man, listen, they ain't trying to promote me. You speaking negativity in your life. That's what we look at. That's the things that we do. That's the things that we make decisions off of when we feel a certain way because of a bad experience or a trauma that we've experienced. So we let fear and shame and trauma, it really affects us because if pain can't reach you, you don't even give yourself a chance to open up the pain, to get a chance to see the situation may be good, maybe bad, but it may be something that you learn from that pain. Because pain is the catalyst for change. Because when we go through a bad breakup, what do? Hey, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna get a new job. I'm gonna get a new car. You improve your life tremendously when you go through a trauma. experience in a relationship. That's what we do. But why can't we have that mindset, period, just about our life altogether without things happening? But as I said, character building exercises. Things are not happening to you, they're happening for you. Even in rejection, even in moments where you've been discriminated against. Also, when there's been a connection that's been broken with friends, family, and loved ones, and you don't trust anybody, and you shut yourself down. And a lot of times we pray for things to change in life, but we so closed off that we can't receive the blessings that come our way. We've been doing so much of a work and protecting ourselves. Yeah, it's good that you're doing the work, but at the same time, protection also can be redundant. Also, it hinders you from experiencing life. It hinders you from growing. Your protection really is just really keeping you from growing. But the fear and shame can affect you just spiritually and mentally and spiritually and emotionally. It can affect you physically too. Because this ease show, you know what I'm saying? This ease causes disease. Like you stressed out, you depressed, things like that. Like it's very important that you get centered and get grounded. Like I said, man, listen, go sit and listen to the water run in the lake. Go take a walk in the park, get some sun. No matter what you're going through, take time to work on yourself. Take time to do things that you love. If you're going through a bad heartbreak or experiencing trauma, understand what caused that trauma. Understand what you need to do to move past that. Sometimes people are depressed. Hey, learn to paint, learn a new hobby, go on a trip, and understand, be present. Don't think about nothing in life, to be present in that moment. When we understand the presence and how important it is to be present in the moment, then we'll understand the simplification parts of life. We can't build a better version of ourselves, or I ain't really gonna say build a better version because we're not becoming anything. We're remembering who God made us to be anyway, but we're just blinded by the distractions in life. The answer is not upward, it's not outside, it's not in the ocean, it ain't the Anunnaki, it ain't the aliens, it ain't outer space. Listen, it's within with all the answers you need within yourself. Look inward. That's where everything is. That's everything you need to know. Once you master yourself, you've mastered life. Once you master yourself, once you put forth an effort to be your best version of yourself, man, nothing can shake you. You're dangerous. You're very dangerous. Understand that. Spiritual oneness and being sounded spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. That is the way to get into a point where life is peaceful. And a lot of times too, I understood and I learned that through my life that it's okay to take time to be yourself away from everybody. That don't mean you beef with nobody. That don't mean that you're angry at anybody. No, you just taking time to work on yourself, which you don't owe anybody explanation to do that. Your spiritual journey, your mental journey, your emotional journey, your physical journey, whatever you need to do, you don't need to be validated by anything. You're already validated because God validated you when you came into existence. You know what I'm saying? You're already validated. So you don't need validation. You don't need outside validation. Your validation is already in here. This is what a validation is. Because like I said, we can work out every day. We can have a perfect career. Our life can be just glorious. How society paints it. You can live in a house in the hill, have a mansion, have all this money, but if you're not spiritually healthy, then it's not going to make any difference because you're never going to be happy. So it's always important that your outside match your inside. It's so important that we do that because we all have ugliness. We all have things that we're ashamed to talk about. We'll never tell nobody to see the light of day. We all do. We all got some stuff we did and we just said, man, listen, all right. I'm talking to myself, I guess. I guess I'm talking to myself. But yeah, we've all had some things, and that's okay. But it's all about where you at now. Where you at spiritually, mentally, emotionally now? Did you learn from those things? Are you still in that mindset? Have you graduated from that? Have you changed? Because the most ignorant thing is ever to not want to change because everything in life changes. You have to roll with the punches. Like I say, you have to be like water. Every day, every second. You'll never see the same day again, and you'll never experience the same minute again. Never. You won't. So it's very important that we make the best out of every moment, every single part of our life, every single thing, whether it's good, bad, ugly. Just appreciate it. Find a silver lining in it. It's very important. That's why I say it's important for us to look at the cup half full and half instead of half empty, because you got to find a silver lining in life. It's rough out here. It is. Sometimes people say stuck in familiar places of pain because it feels safer than unfamiliar freedom. I'm gonna read that again. Sometimes people stay stuck in pain with familiar faces and comfortability because of unfamiliar freedom. The feeling of being free is a different feeling because you protected yourself for so long, so you don't know what it feels like to be at peace. So that's why you have to go inside and work on yourself, because the peace, if you're not used to peace, I mean, you don't have peace in you. You like, oh, that feels different. Yeah, that feels awkward. But if you can't sit with yourself, you're not going to be able to enjoy peace. You have to understand that unpacking and looking inward is how you deal with yourself. That's how you be able to sit with yourself in peace. Where you can sit in the house and be at peace, and you don't have to engage in the outside noise. You come to sit at your house, you can just sit back, rub your feet together, look at Netflix, and eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I be doing. That's what me and me doing, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I want one now. I ain't gonna lie to you. I want one now. But yeah, when you understand that, like, you have to understand the version of your life when you're in the dark. You have to understand that whatever relationship that was, you have to understand whatever job that was, you have to understand whatever identity that was. It could be freedom, it could be growth, purpose, success, health, love, peace. Those things might require a version of me that I've never experienced. So that's why it's important to grow. Because if you don't grow, how can you experience life on different levels? You have a goal for yourself. Hey, I wanna know, I wanna move to Texas, right? That's a goal. Somebody be like, I wanna move to Texas. But are you prepared mentally, spiritually, and emotionally that comes with being in that territory, other side of the earth, in that state? The mindset may be different if you're coming from a state like Alabama. You have to acquire all of those things. You have to be spiritually, mentally, emotionally prepared for everything. You have to understand the responsibilities that are going to come with that. It's a new territory, so you have to be on your P's and Q's. You have to ensure that you understand what you're doing. You have to understand that you got yourself set up to where you won't be homeless. You won't uh, have a point where you lose your job. You won't have a discrepancy of moving from one state to another. You have a lot of things you have to line up. So you have to understand that you have to have yourself together spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally to take that step in life. You have to. Everything in life requires you to be grounded. If you're not grounded, then you're moving out of fear and shame. Because if you're not grounded, you're not going to make that move. You're not. You're not going to make that move. You're going to be more so honestly be like, man, you're going to talk yourself out of it. And how many times have we talked ourselves out of it because we're worried about fear, worried about shame, worried about our insecurities, worried about what if we're not enough? What people may think about me? You know what I'm saying? How many times have we stopped ourselves from doing it? And we probably still do it today unconsciously, not even thinking about it. But that's why I said throughout the gate, from the front door, we've always chose fear and shame to make our decisions in life until you realize, till you awaken and understand what you've been doing the whole time. We've really been choosing life out of fear and shame. We've been making decisions out of fear and shame. I had a conversation with my uncle yesterday, and he told me, Julius, when you get older, you got to change your colors. And I thought about that. Sometimes you got to change your colors when you get older. And I thought about, I ain't gonna even lie, the first thing I thought about was an iguana. I ain't gonna lie. First thing I thought popped in my head was an iguana. And I was like, sometimes you gotta change your colors to be when you get older. Then I started going down a wormhole about it. Color changes can be connected to communication, temperature regulation, stress, and other conditions when it comes to iguana. Different environments, different things going on in their life with the stress levels sound like us, right? They change their colors to ensure that they maintain their peace and their energy throughout anything they experience in life. They adapt to the situation. They're like water, they're formless. So they can adapt to any environment, any situation. So we have to be like that. We have to be able to adapt to any situation. We have to adapt to any environment, no matter what the circumstances, because sometimes you can't, you have to go through something to get to something. You have to have character building exercise because you feel like you're ready for it, but then be careful what you pray for, because the things that's going to require you to attain that, you're not going to be expecting, going to be way more wilder than what you thought it was going to require. It normally is. So it's honestly, it's up to you to really understand what you're asking for, whether it's a career, whether it's a new house, whether it's a new car. With great with with great gain comes great responsibility. I had to get my phrase together, y'all. I was trying to see which way I wanted to say it. You can say that thing like 5 ways. You can say it about 5 ways. But yes, with great gain comes great responsibility. And you have to be a good steward of things in your life. Even when you're asking for a new career or a new mindset to elevate your family in a way, if you're thinking about like in more of a monetary physical way, you have to make sure that you're equally invested in, like you're invested physically in achieving your dreams and your goals. You have to be that equally invested in achieving your dreams and your goal inward, and in becoming a solid person and being more grounded in life. It's so important that we really understand that. Like, you have to have a solid foundation to build a skyscraper on. Because if the solid foundation is not up under that skyscraper, what's going to happen? It's going to tilt over. So we have to make sure you have a secure and solid foundation. But yeah, color change can be connected to communication, temperature regulation, stress, and other conditions when it comes to a performance. So I thought about us. Life changes, environments change, seasons change, we change. But sometimes we're trying to survive in a new environment with an old lens. And that is no way in fashion that you can do that. The colors that protect you at 20 might imprison you at 39. Think about that. The colors that you wore at 20, it may imprison you at 39. You can't have the same mindset of a 20-year-old. You can't wear them same colors. You can't be in that same season. You can't be in that same energy. You got to change. The defense mechanism that helps you survive one relationship might destroy the next healthy one. I had jotted that down. That's true. You cannot bring past traumas from the things that you've been experiencing, bad relationships, bad marriages, into a healthy space. You have to let that go. It is what it is. It happened. Okay, move on. That's why I said you can't absorb. You have to observe it. Once you observe it, you understand it for what it is. You understand it hurt you. Okay, I'm healing and I'm move on. I don't want revenge. I don't want to talk to you. I'm gone. But when you still hurt, you still moping, that's absorbed. Because we've all been there. When you in heartbreak and it's stopping you from moving on, man, listen, we all have been heartbroken before. Man, listen, that ain't nothing but absorption. It just you just stuck in the sand with an experience that you weren't supposed to be stuck in the sand with. The mindset that helps you survive scarcity might prevent you from experiencing abundance peacefully. I'm gonna read that again. The mindset that you help survive scarcity may prevent you from experiencing abundance peacefully. So you survive, and the mindset you had when you survived and you was in survival mode, surviving the mindset you had in old relationships, old romance, old intimacy. You can't have that mindset in a new space because you may miss out on abundance. You may miss out on abundance when you're so focused on the past that you're not living in the moment. Like when I made that video some months back about missing the mark. If we miss the mark, that means that we're so caught up in the old colors of the past that we can't even focus on the now in order to receive the blessings so we can fully reach our full potential of our future self. Your future is, as soon as you finish this sentence, that's the future. Hello, they probably went over y'all head. But I said that to say, live in the moment. Please live in the moment. If you can't you can't be grateful and appreciative now, you're not going to be able to accomplish really anything, because you have to be grateful. You have to be transparent. You have to be appreciative about life, where you are, what you have right now. Because if you can't be graceful and appreciative now, why would you get more if you can't appreciate this? I mean, you're not going to appreciate that, you know? The emotional armor that once protected you might eventually become too heavy to carry. We have these boundaries Oh, TikTok doing something, y'all. Hold on. We have these boundaries that we set up, the wall of protection, our fortress of solitude we build up over our soul when we've been through a bad marriage or relationship or bad love. And eventually you want to grow, but eventually you're going to outgrow that armor. You're going to have to take the armor off because it gets too heavy to carry. And when you begin to heal, that's why I said when you go on that journey with God, you have to strip all of the accessorize. You accessorize your soul. You got to drop those accessories. Through life, we move out of fear, shame, accessorizing our soul, out of ideologies, mindsets, um, moral values, of things that God didn't even tell us to do. We have to, like I said, that's why I said we have to take accountability. We have to take accountability for understanding that when you get on that journey, you're like, dang, Lord, you didn't tell me to do that. And you start thinking about, like, man, I made all these decisions by myself. God ain't told me to do none of this. And I'm over here hollering, talking about some God said, man, listen, all right. Man, listen, all right. You realize that and you understand it. You understand it and you really just take self account. And all in all, that should make you, it should make you feel away because truth has always been uncomfortable. Truth and conviction has always been uncomfortable. When you hear the truth, whether you're in the church, whether you're on the road, whether it's anywhere somebody checking you about something, and this truth is 100% truth and no flaws in it, it's going to make you feel away, as it should. It's conviction. Can your best friend, can your loved ones, can your significant others, can people that's really in your circle who want the best for you tell you about yourself? Can they tell you about yourself? Can they tell you when you messing up? Can they tell you when you tripping? Can they tell you when you need to do better? Can they tell you when I don't know who you talking to? Can they tell you that? And you understand and being able to accept accountability that you're wrong and yeah, you right on tripping? Can they tell you that? Because that's the difference between your success and your failure right there. If you can't take self accountability and take ownership of your life and understand that everything happened in your life is you drawing it to you, you good and lost. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'll be honest. Time for victimhood is out. Man, listen, ain't no victimhood. Listen, man, listen. Go on, move on with your life. Don't absorb it. Just flow. Be formless. Like Bruce Lee said, be formless. But yes, growth requires you changing your colors. Growth is going to require you changing your colors, not self abandoning yourself. Like I said, that's to me that's the biggest sin we can ever do. The biggest sin we can ever commit is self abandoning. Change the way you respond because you learned something. That's maturity. Change the way you respond to things. Things that you experienced that used to tick you off, but you turned up a new leaf and now you understand you move out of wisdom now. You slow to anger, you're more peaceful. You slow to speak. You quick to observe, not absorb, and you just been able to just be aware of your surroundings at all times, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. That's when you know growth is happening. When you like, yeah, you keep yourself away from certain environments, from away from certain things because you protect your peace and your energy. That's what it's Hey, that's what trauma and healing does, though. You have to understand that you have to accept that in order to heal, because you have to be able to sit with yourself and quiet the outside. No, there's no way you can heal outside. You got to heal inside. Y'all caught that analogy. Y'all caught that. Can't heal outside. You got to heal inside. But yeah, remembering and not becoming. This played a part when I was thinking about this topic too, because honestly, we're not becoming anybody. Like I said before, everything you have in you, God has already put in you. So you really just remembering. You're remembering who you are. And when we remembering, that's when you heal. You remembering. So that's when you remove fear, you remove shame, you remove false identities, you remove everybody else's expectations, remove your old survival mechanisms until you eventually can see yourself clear. That's why I say you strip off all those accessories you put on your soul. Maybe underneath all that fear was courage. Underneath all that shame was worth. Underneath all that insecurity was really confidence. Underneath all those labels were you, me, us, our true self, genuine, beautiful soul self. That's what under all those accessories. And this is when you accept yourself as a whole. Maybe growth isn't always adding something. And a lot of times we feel like that when we're growing, God is going to add us increase in finance. It's not even about that. It's about the spiritual, and material stuff don't matter. It's all about the spiritual, mental, and emotional. And a lot of times too, when you think when it's adding something, it's really removing something. Because once you get on your walk of growth spiritually, you start expanding. You have to release those accessories. So I say you accessorize your soul, so you really growth is helping you lose those accessories. What's good, John? What up, big dog? Appreciate you tapping in, big homie. Growth isn't always adding something. Growth is subtraction. It's subtracting all the negative people out your life, the bad energy, the like I said, you accessorizing your soul, the bad habits you picked up, the things that weren't even you. These are things that you chose for yourself. You thought this was what your identity was in these things, but now it's like God shows you, no, this is your identity. But these are just things that you can possibly acquire if you're grounded enough to understand it. So we have to understand that we have to change our identity, our mindset about wealth and value and where riches is, because truly, honestly, real riches and wealth is having a family, having genuine love for you at home, being able to wake up in the morning and say, thank you, Lord, for another day, being able to be grateful in the moment, like being spiritually, mentally, and physically grounded, like having a solid foundation. That's the true riches. That's the true wealth. Family and love is the true riches and wealth. Not what society is telling you. That's a facade. That American dream, man, listen, that's as fake as Apollo 13 going to the moon. Listen, one thing about it, like, we have to understand, though, for real, that all jokes aside, we have to understand that you set the tone. You define what riches and wealth to you. You define what health is to you. You define all of those things by how you feel about yourself, the work you put in. You define those things. What does love mean to you? Deep down, out of all of the acting, out of all of when your homegirls cry, when your homeboys around, when you with yourself, how do you really feel about love? How do you feel about what a healed version of yourself would be? How do you feel about yourself? Can you agree with what God said about you? Can you understand who He made you to be until you step into that, no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult it may be? That desire to be better and to heal is better than your comfortability and your familiarity. You know, we have to really think about that. You really have to sit about that. I have to make sure I ain't finna turn y'all off, y'all, man. Listen, I got a few questions I wanted to ask y'all too. What would you attempt if embarrassment was not a possibility? What would you attempt to do? What you would attempt to accomplish? What would you attempt to indulge in if embarrassment wasn't possible? Like, how high could you go? What could you achieve? What part of your life is currently being controlled by fear? That's a question that we all have to ask ourselves. All of these questions are. Are you afraid of failing? Or are you afraid of discovering how powerful you can actually become? We have to ask ourselves that. What would you attempt if embarrassment wasn't possible? What part of life is fear still controlling? Are you afraid of failing? Or are you afraid of how powerful you become? What are you still punishing yourself for? This is a lot of good questions. Like, I was just writing them down, y'all. What survival mechanism help the old you but is hurting the present you? What part of you is not healed enough and is hindering you from moving forward and progressing in life? What part of fear is holding you back? Are you afraid of failing? Are you afraid of seeing how powerful you become? That's the one that's hit hard for me, y'all. Are you afraid of failing or afraid of discovering how powerful you actually become? That's deep right there, man. Listen, man, listen. That's powerful right there. I ain't gonna even hold you. I think that's probably the best question I got right there, baby. Listen, are you responding to what's happening now or reacting to something that happened years ago? Ask yourself that question. If fear and shame disappear tonight, what would you do tomorrow morning? Man, listen, if fear and shame disappear tonight, what would you do tomorrow morning? How would you feel about yourself when you woke up in the morning? How would you feel? Would you wake up feeling like a King Ali, smooth? You know what I'm saying? You wake up feeling like a King Ali. You gonna wake up feeling confident, like so. Like who you gonna feel like? How you gonna view yourself? How you gonna view your worth? How you gonna love yourself? How you gonna value yourself? Right. At least you honest about it, my guy. Listen, man, listen. That road gets scary, big dog, but keep pushing. My homeboy Joy said, afraid of how powerful I will become. Right. That's, man, listen. You have to really think about that. Let that marinate. Because all of these questions, you don't have to answer them right now. Just ask yourself out today. Self-reflection. Think about that. If fear didn't exist, what would you accomplish? If fear and shame disappeared tonight, what would you do tomorrow? If you found out that you can do anything you accomplish by just one thought, by changing the way you view yourself and love yourself, how would you view yourself? What changes would you make? If you can answer those questions, this is really going to give you the sole compass on where you're trying to go and showing you how to get there. If you can answer those questions, and you don't have to answer them today, not tomorrow. You can have those questions and think about that for a while. It takes a while to unpack. Patience, be like water, just flow. You don't have to rush it. Take your time. Because fear can knock on the door, shame can knock on the door, your past can knock on the door. But that don't mean you have to let them move back in. Your low conscious is always going to be there. But that don't mean you have to let them drive. Fear can knock on the door, shame can knock on the door, past can knock on the door. You don't have to let them in. You experienced it, you survived it, you learned from it. You found that silver lining. But you don't have to keep living from it, if that makes sense. You don't have to keep living from that. Go inward, and we have to understand what was the purpose of me going through this? What was God trying to show me? What did I have to learn from this experience? We have to mentally change our lens. We have to spiritually trust the walk. And we have to emotionally stop making today's people pay for tomorrow's wounds. I'm sorry, for yesterday's wounds. We can't make, we cannot miss living in the moment to where we're worrying about tomorrow with today's issues. We have to be able to live in the moment. We have to be able to just exist. Just sit with yourself. We have to do that. Because in life, it's going to ask you to, like I said, the analogy of the iguana. It changes its colors based off the environment, based off of the circumstances, based off of protection. We have to evaluate our life like that. We have to look at our life in totality and see what's pushing me to be the better version of myself and what's not. What's hindering me? What's holding me back? These questions that we all need to ask ourselves. I told you I went down a wormhole about it. Trust your feelings. Trust yourself. Love yourself. Food for thought. I appreciate y'all tapping in. It's been another episode of Juice for episode 66. I appreciate y'all tapping in. Much love. Peace. And y'all have a blessed day tomorrow. Love y'all.